Edward is the same color as Thomas and the same size as James. He can pull coaches and push freight cars. And he often works as a back engine. The Duke and Duchess of Boxford came to visit their new summer house. They came on their own private engine called Spencer. Spencer is big and silver and very fast. When Spencer pulled into Knapford, his driver had exciting news for him. "You have beaten Gordon's record," he said. "Of course," boasted Spencer. "I'm faster and finer than all the engines on Sodor put together." Sir Topham Hatt's engines were very cross. "Spencer's just a big silver show-off," sniffed Gordon, and everyone agreed. "Spencer will take the Duke and Duchess to their summer house. Another engine will take their furniture." "Please, sir," said Thomas, Percy, Gordon, and James all together. "May I go?" "You all have other work to do," boomed Sir Topham Hatt. "Edward will take the furniture." James and Gordon groaned. "Fancy sending a back engine to do an express engine's job," sniffed Gordon. "He'll lose the race and let the whole railway down," said James. Thomas and Percy were cross. Edward was their friend. "Spencer has a bigger boiler," said Thomas, "but that just means more hot air." "An honest steamy can beat a pouty puffer any day," added Percy. Edward set off, slow and steady. "We'll do my best, we'll do my best," he puffed. Spencer set off and quickly passed Edward. "I've won already," he boasted. And with a whoosh, he was gone. Edward came to the bottom of a steep hill. The freight was heavy and he felt very tired. He huffed and he puffed and was soon at the top. He could see Spencer in the distance and chased him at once. Edward raced down the hill. Spencer stopped at Wellsworth Station. The Duke and Duchess wanted to buy some tea and cakes from the refreshment lady. Edward teetered into view. "Hurry, old boy," laughed Spencer. "Can't have you finishing too far behind me." Edward wished he could have a rest too, but the station master and the porters had heard about the race. "Hooray for Edward!" they cheered. Edward picked up steam and proudly puffed past Spencer. But then the Duke and Duchess finished their tea, and Spencer was off in a flash. He roared past Edward. "Fastest and best," he boasted. Edward was nearly out of puff. The furniture felt heavier than ever. Up ahead, Spencer had to stop. The Duke wanted to take some photographs of the countryside. Spencer closed his eyes. "Nothing to worry about," he said lazily. Gordon was returning to Brendam Docks. He passed Spencer and knew Edward must be losing the race. "Edward is a waste of steam," he sniffed. But when Gordon passed Edward and saw how hard he was trying, he felt bad about what he had said. Well done, Edward, he called. You are a credit to the railway. Edward was so happy his boiler tingled. He found puff he never knew he had. The Duke and Duchess had finished taking photographs and were back on board. Time to go, said Spencer's driver and rang the bell. But nothing happened. Spencer was dreaming of victory. He didn't hear the bell. And he didn't hear Edward puffing past him. Spencer's driver rang the bell again. When Spencer finally opened his eyes, he could see Edward heading towards the summer house. Spencer took off as fast as he could. But as he reached the siding, his driver ordered him to slow down. "These are old tracks and you are a very heavy engine," he said. "You must go slowly." Spencer had no choice. He had to slow down. And he trundled slowly down the siding. With every click and every clack, he knew he had lost the race. Edward puffed toward the summer house. "I've won," he gasped. "I did it!" Edward felt like a really useful engine. "Hooray! I've won!" he cheered loudly. Edward felt like the pride of the Sodor Railway, and he was right. Saving Edward. It was summertime on the island of Sodor. All the engines were working hard, carrying goods and passengers. They cheerfully chuffed up and down the lines. All except Edward. Edward was worried. He wheezed as he puffed, and steam hissed out of his cylinders. One morning, Sir Topham Hatt came to the sheds. He had an important job for Edward. "A special delivery of fruit and vegetables is coming to the docks today," he told him. "I want you to take it to Knapford." "Yes, sir," said Edward, but he was worried about his wheeze. It felt worse today. "Thomas, you ought to go to the docks and shunt Edward's freight cars. After that, you can carry on with your usual jobs." "Yes, sir," said Thomas eagerly. Thomas and Edward puffed to the water tower. Edward tried to stop wheezing, but he couldn't. "What's the matter?" asked Thomas. "You don't sound well." "I can't seem to get up steam properly," said Edward. "But I'll manage. Don't tell anyone, Thomas." Thomas wasn't sure about this. "I don't want Sir Topham Hatt to know," hissed Edward. Thomas could see Edward was worried, so he agreed. He hurried off to shunt Edward's freight cars. Edward followed slowly to the docks. Edward was very worried. What if he was too weak to pull his train? He would be of no use to the railway. He wouldn't be useful at all. Edward shuddered at the thought. "Must keep going, must keep going," he wheezed fearfully. At the docks, Thomas had shunted Edward's freight cars into place for him. Soon, Edward was coupled up and ready to go. "Go on, Edward, you can do it," called Thomas encouragingly. Edward puffed as hard as he could, but the train hardly moved at all. "I'm sorry, Thomas," Edward wheezed miserably. "I'm not a really useful engine anymore." Sir Topham Hatt will have to send me for a scrap. Thomas was very upset. He wanted to help Edward. I'll do my other jobs first, Thomas said. Then I'll pull the train for you. Edward watched Thomas puff away. He wasn't sure if it was right to let Thomas do his job. Edward felt very worried. Thomas needed to do all his jobs as quickly as possible so that he had time to pull Edward's train. Hurry up, he told the troublesome trucks. What for? What for? They snapped. For Edward, puffed Thomas, and he biffed them crossly. Edward waited sadly by his train. He hoped Thomas would come back soon. When Thomas finished all his jobs, he puffed back to collect Edward's train. Edward was very pleased to see him. Don't worry, Edward, puffed Thomas. I'll have your job done in no time. You go back to Tidmouth and I'll meet you there later. Thank you, Thomas, wheezed Edward. And Thomas pulled away with a long line of freight cars. Thomas was tired. He had been working all day, and Edward's train was very heavy. But he was determined not to let Edward down. Sir Topham Hatt was talking to Gordon as Thomas puffed in. Thomas, this train is late, he said crossly. And why are you pulling it? Where is Edward? Thomas didn't want to get Edward into trouble. He had to think of an excuse. Edward took on the wrong sort of coal, sir. The wrong sort of coal? Boomed Sir Topham Hatt. What nonsense, Thomas! I'll find out what Edward has to say about this later. Sir Topham Hatt was very cross. He gave Thomas another job to do. Yes, sir, said Thomas. Gordon steamed through the countryside. And then he found Edward having a rest. What's all this about the wrong sort of coal? Huffed Gordon. Edward looked puzzled. The wrong sort of coal? Gordon told Edward all about Thomas and Sir Topham Hatt. Edward felt very bad. He wanted to put things right. He decided he must go and see Sir Topham Hatt straight away. Edward hissed and wheezed his way to the station. His fire felt feeble. His wheels felt weak, but he battled on. At last, Edward puffed into the station. He found Sir Topham Hatt. It's all my fault, sir, he said sadly. I asked Thomas not to tell you I couldn't work. I was afraid of going for scrap. I'm very sorry. I should have talked to you this morning. You should always tell me if you have a problem, said Sir Topham Hatt. You are a loyal, hard-working, and really useful engine. I will send you to the fitter's yard straight away. You'll soon be as good as new. Edward was very relieved, and Thomas was very tired from his extra work, but they both agreed, even when it's hard, it's always best to tell the truth. Gordon is big and blue, and the fastest engine on all of Sodor. He loves pulling the express. Gordon thinks it makes him the most important engine on the island. One day, Gordon was pulling the express out of Brendam docks. But Diesel was on the same line. "Out of my way," sniffed Gordon. "Express train coming through." Diesel had to back off. This made him cross. "You steamies are old and clapped out," he sneered. "When Sir Topham Hatt realizes this, you'll all be scrapped." "Scrapped?" scoffed Gordon. "Pah! I'm as fast as I ever was." And he chuffed proudly out of the docks. Gordon was speeding through the beautiful countryside. He was having a wonderful day. But then he heard a horrible squeaking noise. Gordon was upset. Squeaking could only mean one thing. Something was wrong. What if Diesel's right, he thought. What if Sir Topham Hatt scraps me? Gordon squeaked sadly up the hill. The hill was steep, and Gordon had to slow down. The slower he went, the quieter the squeak became. Gordon was delighted. "Aha," he said. "If I go slowly, no one will hear me squeak." And he chuffed slowly back to Tidmouth Sheds. That evening, Sir Topham Hatt came to see Gordon. "Tomorrow is a very special day," he said. "I am taking some village children on a boat trip. You, Gordon, are to take us to Brendam Docks. The boat leaves at 9 o'clock, so you must not be late." The next morning, Gordon waited for everyone to go. Then he puffed slowly away so no one would hear his squeak. Once out of the sheds, he started to pick up speed. His pistons pumped and his wheels spun, and he began to squeak again. "Oh my," said Gordon. Then he heard something even worse. It was a rattle. oh dear," he cried. "Diesel was right. I'm falling apart. What will Sir Topham Hatt say?" So Gordon slowed down. Gordon crawled slowly into the station to collect the children. Gordon's boiler sank. If he went slowly, the children would miss their boat trip. But if he went quickly, Sir Topham Hatt would hear his squeak and his rattle. He'd know Gordon was wearing out and send him to the scrapyard. With the children safely on board, Gordon pulled slowly out of the station. Gordon chuffed slowly through the countryside. He thought things were going well. But Sir Topham Hatt was very cross. He spoke sternly to Gordon. "Why are you fooling around, Gordon?" he boomed. "You must go quickly, or the children will miss the boat, and that will never do." "Yes, sir," said Gordon sadly. "Remember," added Sir Topham Hatt, "you are the fastest engine on the island." This made Gordon feel proud. "This might be my last trip," he said, "but I'll get the children to their boat on time." His wheels turned faster. His pistons pumped harder. Must be on time, he puffed. Soon, he began to squeak and rattle too. And then he heard another noise. A knocking noise. But Gordon didn't care. If this was his last trip, he was going to go as fast as he possibly could. Gordon squeaked and rattled and knocked all the way to Brendam Docks. Salty and Henry were surprised. They had never heard an engine make such awful noises.
Sounds like another steamy ready for the scrapyard,
sneered Diesel. But Gordon didn't care about Diesel. He had made good time, and the children would catch their boat. "I made it!" he cried proudly. "I knew you could do it," said Sir Topham Hatt. "But why haven't you been to the repair yard?" "The repair yard?" gasped Gordon. "You have been making lots of noises," said Sir Topham Hatt. "You need to have your engine looked at." "So you're not going to scrap me?" asked Gordon. "Scrap Gordon," boomed Sir Topham Hatt. "The fastest engine on Sodor? Who would pull the express?" Gordon beamed with pride. Gordon spent the next day having his pistons polished, his axles greased, and his wheels well oiled. At last he didn't make any more funny noises. Gordon was as good as new, and he felt even better. Respect for Gordon. The engines of the Sodor Railway were always busy. Thomas puffed to the beaches with happy vacationers. And Gordon proudly pulled the express. Gordon thought he was the strongest, fastest, and cleanest engine on the whole of the railway. But one thing bothered him. His firebox rattled as it cooled down at night. Gordon knew his rattle stopped the other engines from getting to sleep. That night, Gordon's firebox went click, clunk, click, clunk. Thomas and Percy started to chuckle. "Rattler Gordon's keeping us all awake," peeped Percy. "The only engines keeping other engines awake," huffed Gordon crossly, "are little engines with very bad manners." But secretly he felt rather embarrassed. In the morning, Percy teased Gordon again. "Rattlebox is awake at last," he puffed out loud. Gordon ignored Percy. He did not like being called names. "I'm the strongest and the best," he told himself. "Strongest and best, strongest and best, cleanest and fastest, and pull the express." He wished the other engines would remember that. Later, Gordon pulled into Knapford Station. "Oh, look," laughed Emily. "Rattler Gordon's here. He's pulling the Click-Clunk Express." This made Gordon very cross indeed, especially because Diesel overheard.
I hope your Click-Clunk gets better soon, oiled Diesel. See you later, Rattler.
Gordon was very cross indeed. He decided it was time the other engines learnt to treat him properly. So later, at the water tank, he pulled up ahead of James. James was surprised. At Knapford, Percy had brought Gordon's coaches into number 1 platform.
Off you go now, Percy, said Gordon. Number 1 is my platform. Little engines shouldn't hang around.
You're a boastful, bossy, big blue boiler, Percy muttered to himself crossly. Later, Gordon told his friends to give a polite toot-toot whenever they saw him. But why? Asked Thomas. He was very puzzled. Because,
huffed Gordon grandly. I'm the strongest and the best. He steamed away. You can toot at him if you like, wished Emily, but I'm not going to. Gordon steamed across the island. He felt very pleased with himself. He was sure the other engines would forget his clunk-click and treat him properly now. He saw Emily coming. He listened for her toot-toot. But Emily didn't toot at all. This made Gordon very cross. He was so cross that he didn't see the signal telling him to stop. And he didn't see the goods train ahead until it was too late. Luckily, no one was hurt. As Gordon waited to be put back on the rails, Percy arrived. "Hello, Gordon," peeped Percy. "I see you're not the cleanest engine anymore." Then James puffed up. "I don't think you'll be pulling the express for a while, Gordon," joked James. At last, Gordon was back on the rails. He felt very foolish indeed. Edward pushed him to the fitter's yard. Gordon had to stay at the fitter's yard for a long time. Emily and Henry took in turns to pull the express for him. One evening at Tidmouth Sheds, Henry huffed, "It's hard work pulling the express." "Yes," agreed Emily. "Gordon must be very strong to pull the express so fast." "I miss Gordon," peeped Percy. "I miss having his rattle to go to sleep by." Gordon knew the other engines were pulling the express for him. "Thank goodness for Emily and Henry," he thought. "I'm sure they're doing a very good job." Finally, Gordon was as good as new. The fitters had even managed to fix the rattle in his firebox. That evening, Gordon had something to say. "Is it about being fastest and the best?" teased James.
"Not at all," puffed Gordon. "I know my rattle kept you awake at night, and I'm sorry. And I was also silly about the toot-toots. I realize now that engines toot-toot other engines because they work hard and deserve it, not because they ask for it."
"But we think you do deserve it, Gordon," said Thomas, "because you work hard and you are a really useful engine." All the other engines agreed. Now all the engines greet each other with a cheerful toot-toot for all the hard work they do on Sir Topham Hatt's railway.
It was summertime on the island of Sodor. Gordon pulled the passenger express. It was very busy, but Gordon loved the hustle and bustle. Henry hauled freight cars in the forest. He loved the peace and quiet, but he didn't see many people. Sometimes working in the forest could be very lonely. Later, Henry pulled into Knapford Station. "Keep your smelly freight away from my passengers," grumbled Gordon. "But it's only logs," chuffed Henry. "Passengers and freight do not mix," huffed Gordon.
wheeshed away. Henry watched the express leave the station. "I'd like to pull passengers," sighed Henry, "just for a change." Henry stopped at the edge of the forest. Children were standing by one of the trees. "What are those children doing?" Henry asked Thomas. "That's the old Sodor wishing tree," said Thomas. "They must be making a wish." "A wishing tree?" gasped Henry. "How wonderful!" "Do you think it could make my wish come true?" asked Henry. "It might," said Thomas, and he puffed away. Henry rolled up to the wishing tree. He took a deep breath and made a wish, as hard as he could. I wish I could pull the express instead of Gordon," he said. That evening, Sir Topham Hatt came to see Henry. "Tomorrow, you will pull the express," he said. "Thank you, sir," said Henry happily. His wish had come true. The next morning, Henry chuffed cheerfully into Knapford Station. When his passengers were on board, Henry blew his whistle and pulled out of the station. But Henry puffed too quickly. "Go gently," called his driver. "You can bump freight, but you can't bump passengers." "Sorry," puffed Henry. Henry puffed proudly through the countryside. "Pulling passengers is a grand job," he said. Gordon was in the repair yard. He was being fitted with a new boiler. But Gordon felt lonely. He was missing his passengers. The passengers were missing Gordon, too. They were having the bounciest, bumpiest ride they had ever had. When Henry got back to the sheds, Sir Topham Hatt was waiting for him. "There have been complaints," he said sternly. "Passengers are not like logs. You must be gentle." "Yes, sir," said Henry sadly. Being gentle was very difficult. The next day, Henry had to collect the dining car. He tried his best to be gentle. But he shunted the dining car so hard, everything flew into the air. There were more complaints than ever. Henry didn't want to pull passengers anymore. He wanted to wish everything back to normal. But when he arrived at the forest, Henry couldn't remember which tree was the wishing tree. "Oh no," cried Henry. "Which one could it be?" Henry didn't know. So he decided to wish on all the trees. "I wish I could pull freight again," he puffed. Then he moved to the next tree, and he wished again. "I wish I could pull freight again." Sir Topham Hatt arrived on board Thomas. "What are you doing, Henry?" asked Sir Topham Hatt. "You are causing confusion and delay." Henry told him all about the wishing tree. "Wishing trees don't run railways," said Sir Topham Hatt. "That's my job. Gordon just needed some repairs. He'll be back tomorrow." Henry was delighted. The next day, Gordon came back to work. He looked as good as new. The passengers were so pleased to see him. They cheered and cheered and cheered. Gordon beamed happily for the rest of the day. Henry was happy to be back in the peace and quiet of the forest. At the end of the day, he stopped near the wishing tree. And even though Sir Topham Hatt had told him trees don't run railways, Henry wished he would never have to pull passengers ever again, just in case.
Henry gets the express. Early one morning, all the engines were leaving Tidmouth sheds to start work on the railway. All, that is, except Gordon.
Hurry up, lazy bones, or you'll be late to pull the express.
I'm not ready, Thomas. You'll just have to tell Sir Topham Hatt. My firebox needs cleaning.
Your firebox? Why didn't you have it cleaned out last night?
Oh, I was too tired.
Well, don't be surprised if Sir Topham Hatt asks somebody else to pull the express today.
Ha! Nonsense! Who would he ask?
Henry's pulled it before.
Well, he'd hardly manage it now. No offense, Henry, but it's very difficult. You have to know all the stops, keep control at high speed. It isn't a job just any old engine can do.
Ignore him, Henry. Gordon just likes to think he's special. Good morning, sir. Gordon asked me to tell you that he's going to be late because he's having his firebox cleaned out.
His firebox? Now?
I know, sir. I did say you might need someone else to take the express. I thought of Henry, but Gordon doesn't think he can do it.
Of course Henry can take the express. Splendid idea, Thomas.
Do you really think I should, sir?
Definitely, Henry. And it'll teach Gordon a lesson too.
So Henry set off with the express. At first he was a little nervous, but he soon began to enjoy himself.
Express coming through!
Gordon, it is extremely important that the express runs on time. People depend upon it. Since you were too busy this morning, I asked Henry to do your job.
Here you are, Gordon.
Cars? But I don't understand, sir.
Oh, now you must do Henry's job, Gordon.
Thank you, Henry. Very comfortable journey.
It's my pleasure.
You're much more friendly than Gordon. I wish you could pull the express every day.
Gordon was not having anywhere near as much fun as Henry.
A goods train! A goods train! Oh, the shame.
Ahoy there, Gordon! What are you doing here?
Henry's pulling the express today, so I'm stuck doing his jobs.
Never mind, Gordon. You're so big and strong, I expect you'll do Henry's work in half the time.
Well, I do mind. I was never meant to do work like this. It's beneath me.
Then you're gonna love this!
Filthy coal cars.
Sorry.
Oh, the indignity. Oh.
Express coming through!
But that's my line.
Bye, Gordon! Bye, Gordon!
Shouldn't I go back to pulling the express now, sir?
Oh, no. I need you to go to...
Robin's Gate.
Oh.
That isn't Gordon, is it?
Look out there! Express! I mean, engine coming through.
Hello there, Gordon. Is your day going well?
As well as any day hauling coal and stone can be. And I'll have none of your nonsense. Thank you very much.
We'll give him nonsense.
So they gave him nonsense and let their brakes slip on.
Not so useful. Not so strong.
Oh, do be quiet!
We'll give you quiet.
And then they let their brakes slip off again.
Uncouple me at once. I'm going back to my shed.
I only asked how his day was going.
At the end of the day, Henry came back to Tidmouth Sheds and found Gordon already waiting there.
Hello, Gordon. I enjoyed taking the express today, but tomorrow I'll be happy to go back to doing the jobs I usually do.
I should never have been sent to work pulling goods trains.
I think you'll find it's my decision which jobs you do, Gordon. You didn't even finish your jobs today. You must learn to do the jobs you're asked to do. And tonight, I'm asking you to pull the flying kipper.
I will not pull a smelly fish train.
Very well, but if you don't do it, perhaps Henry will keep the job of pulling the express forever.
Oh! This is all your fault, Henry.
But I only took the express because Sir Topham Hatt told me to. All you have to do is take the flying kipper. But then, I guess the flying kipper's not really such an easy job. Most engines just aren't up to it. You probably wouldn't manage.
You're right, Henry. James found the flying kipper very difficult when he pulled it.
I did not. It was just smelly.
I think you'll find I'm much bigger and stronger than James.
Even so, I'm not sure.
Nonsense! No job's too hard for me. I can certainly pull a smelly old fish wagon. I'll show you.
Gordon was determined to prove Henry wrong. But by the time he came back from pulling the flying kipper, it was already morning.
There, you see? I did it! I delivered all the stinky fish, and I didn't find it difficult at all.
Oh, good. You finally done as you were told, Gordon. I must say, Henry did so well pulling the express. He'd be a great permanent replacement for Gordon. Oh, but you can go back to pulling it, Gordon.
Oh, sir. Thank you, sir. I can start straight away.
Woo! You do smell a bit fishy, Gordon. Maybe you should think about getting a washdown first.
Stinky Express coming through!
Oh, the indignity.
There are railway lines all over the island of Sodor. The railway runs from Brendam Docks right across the countryside. So there are lots of signals. They help the engines to stay safe as they go about their work. All the engines have favorite jobs. Gordon loves pulling the express. Gordon thinks it's the most important job on the island. And Gordon likes to feel important. One morning, Sir Topham Hatt came to see Gordon.
Gordon, the points are broken, said Sir Topham Hatt. An important mechanic is coming to fix them. You are to collect him at Marin Station. Then you must take him to the points as quickly as possible.
Don't worry, sir, chuffed Gordon. I'll get him to the points for you. Gordon steamed to Marin. All the other engines were stuck. They couldn't go anywhere until the points were fixed. Hurry up, Gordon! They all had to wait as Gordon puffed grandly along the express line.
I'm an important engine collecting an important passenger, he puffed proudly. Gordon felt very grand.
Gordon pulled into Marin Station. There was a passenger carrying a toolbox waiting on the platform.
He must be the important mechanic, thought Gordon. All aboard, he whistled, and the man with the toolbox climbed on board.
Wait, said the station master. Bertie the bus is bringing more passengers.
I can't wait, Gordon huffed. I have a very important passenger on board. I have to leave now. And he left.
Gordon puffed proudly along. But he didn't know that the man with the toolbox wasn't the mechanic. Or that Bertie the bus had brought the mechanic with all the other passengers. They were still waiting on the platform. Oh no, groaned the mechanic. I've missed my train. How will I ever fix the points now? Gordon rattled past Donald. Then he clattered past Douglas.
Important engine coming through,
chuffed Gordon. This made Douglas very cross. At last, Gordon arrived at the broken points. I'm glad you're here, puffed Thomas. None of the engines can move until the points are fixed. But the man with the toolbox was very confused.
I'm not the mechanic, said the man. I'm a carpenter. I thought Gordon was taking me to the docks.
Oh, no. I've left the mechanic behind, moaned Gordon.
I'll have to go back and get him.
But you can't reverse down the express line with the express, said the signalman. Maybe you could go on my line, puffed Thomas.
That's a good idea, puffed Gordon. Thank you, Thomas.
So Gordon backed down the line and left his express coaches. Then he steamed onto Thomas's track. He reversed quickly down Thomas's line. But he found Douglas blocking his way.
Out of my way, huffed Gordon. I've got an important passenger to collect.
Ah, you can't get past, puffed Douglas. I can only go back as far as the next station. Then Donald is in the way. Gordon felt awful. All the engines were stuck, and it was all his fault.
How can I collect the mechanic, he puffed.
Then Gordon had an idea.
Maybe all the engines can help, he thought.
Gordon told Douglas his idea. Then Douglas puffed down the track to tell Donald. "What a great plan," chuffed Donald. So Donald puffed back to collect the mechanic. The mechanic climbed on board. Then Donald chuffed back up the line. Donald left the mechanic at the station. Then Douglas took the mechanic to the next stop, where Gordon was waiting for him. Finally, Gordon took the mechanic to the broken points. The points were soon fixed, and all the engines could puff through. "Thank you, Gordon," puffed Thomas. That evening, the railway was back to normal.
Thank you for helping me today, puffed Gordon. Even an important engine like me needs help sometimes.
You can do it, let's make a chain now. Come on, baby, do the locomotion. Chugga, chugga motion like a railway train now. Come on.